So now we are going to discuss nutritional and digestive disorders. When we talk about nutritional and digestive disorders, first term that comes to our mind is malnutrition, right? Let us see how WHO defines malnutrition as. WHO defines malnutrition as a cellular imbalance between the supply of nutrients and energy and the body's demand for them to ensure growth, maintenance and specific functions. So this is the definition of malnutrition that is given by WHO. Let's read it again. The cellular imbalance between the supply of nutrients and energy. So they're talking about both nutrients as well as energy and the body's demand for them to ensure growth, maintenance and specific functions. So how can we define malnutrition in very simple words? It is a condition that develops when the body does not get the right amount of the vitamins, minerals and other nutrients it needs to maintain healthy tissues and organ function. So when we are not taking adequate vitamins and our body is not absorbing them, you can say, when there is no proper energy intake, no protein intake, the adequate amount that is needed by the body, then this results in a condition that we call as malnutrition, right? So we have one type of malnutrition that we call as protein energy malnutrition. In case of protein energy malnutrition, it involves a disorder such as kwashiorkor and marasmus, right? We are going to discuss kwashiorkor and marasmus. Just a brief overview of what is marasmus and kwashiorkor. Marasmus represents simple starvation. The body adapts to a chronic state of insufficient calorie intake. It means this disorder is because of insufficient calorie intake. And kwashiorkor is a body's response to insufficient protein intake but usually sufficient calories for energy. So kwashiorkor is linked with insufficient protein intake. Well, why they both come under protein energy malnutrition? It is because the protein and the energy, they are correlated. When we talk about babies, children, small children, their demand for protein is more as compared to our demand. So there are many chances for them to be protein deficient, their bodies to be protein deficient. So these diseases are basically seen in children below, you can say, 6 years of age, and after that one more point to understand over here is that protein and energy, they are correlated terms. How? Because the food that you take which is rich in protein definitely is going to supply you more of energy. So this protein energy malnutrition has become the major, you can say, nutritional disorder in India. So let's discuss what is protein energy malnutrition. It is also referred to as protein calorie malnutrition. Now you all know that we actually measure energy in terms of calorie. So we can also call PEM, that is protein energy malnutrition, as what? Protein calorie malnutrition. And it is considered as a primary nutritional problem in India, also called the first national nutritional disorder. So PEM is the first national nutritional disorder. The term protein energy malnutrition applies to a group of related disorders that include marasmus, kwashiorkor and intermediate states of marasmus kwashiorkor. So PEM is due to PEM, it is due to food gap between the intake and requirement. When there is food gap between the intake and what is required, this results in this protein energy malnutrition, or we can call it as protein calorie malnutrition, which is also called the first national nutritional disorder, right? So it is a primary nutritional problem in India. Then let us talk about marasmus. The term marasmus is derived from the Greek word marasmos, which means withering or wasting. So marasmus is a form of severe protein energy malnutrition characterized by energy deficiency and emaciation. So there is lot of energy deficiency in case of marasmus. So more of energy deficiency is there, and this disorder is primarily caused by what? Remember, I am just speaking again and again because sometimes students get confused between what is the main cause of the disorder. So it is primarily caused by energy deficiency, and marasmus is characterized by stunted growth and wasting of muscle and tissue, right? So marasmus usually develops between the ages of 6 months and 1 year in children who have been weaned from breast milk or who suffer from weakening conditions like chronic diarrhea. So these are the symptoms of marasmus. You can see severe growth retardation, loss of subcutaneous fat, severe muscle wasting, and the child looks appallingly thin and limbs appear as skin and bone, and shriveled body, as you can see in the image. The child who is suffering from this disorder, that is marasmus. Wrinkled skin, bony prominence, associated vitamin deficiencies, failure to thrive, irritability, fretfulness and apathy, frequent watery diarrhea and acid stools, mostly hungry but some are anoretic, dehydration, temperature is subnormal, muscles are weak, edema and you can say fatty infiltration are absent. So you can see from the image how a child who is suffering from marasmus looks like. These are the symptoms that are there in a child suffering from marasmus. So marasmus is basically what? It is a deficiency disease because of less energy, less calorie intake. Next we move on to how can we actually differentiate, kwashiorkor from marasmus. When you look at these two images, how can you make out the difference between the two? You can say that in case of marasmus, it is severe energy and protein deficit, means energy deficiency is severe. But in case of kwashiorkor, you can say there is moderate energy deficiency but more or severe protein deficiency. But both of them involve or they come under this category, that is protein energy malnutrition. But remember, marasmus is a severe energy deficiency and moderate protein deficiency. Opposite is in the case of kwashiorkor. In kwashiorkor, there is more, you can say, severe protein deficiency and moderate energy deficiency. So you can see by looking at the images how the child suffering from marasmus looks and how the child suffering from kwashiorkor looks, right? Then we come to the next part, that is indigestion. Now indigestion is a digestive disorder which is there because of not proper digestion of food inside the intestines or the stomach, right? So what are the symptoms of indigestion? There is pain, nausea, heartburn, accumulation of gas and send out of gas from stomach. So there is burning sensation in the chest and acid and stomach contents back up into the esophagus. So these are the symptoms of indigestion when your food does not get digested properly. So it is what? It is a digestive disorder. Indigestion is a digestive disorder, right? Then we next have constipation. In case of constipation, there is difficult defecation caused by decreased motility of intestine. So what happens? Since the feces, they remain for a longer time in the large intestine, there is more of water absorption. When water is absorbed more, then the feces actually become dry and hard. So it is very difficult for you can say for us to get rid of the feces, and this condition is termed as constipation. There can be severe pain in the body. Then we have next, that is vomiting. Now what is the reason for vomiting? Let's read over here. The skeletal muscles of the abdominal wall and diaphragm, they contract, and after the contraction this is going to increase the intra-abdominal pressure. When this intra-abdominal pressure is going to be increased, then the cardiac sphincter relaxes and soft palate rises to close the nasal passage. And with this, the contents from the stomach, they are going to come out, and from the mouth they are going to cause this condition that is we term as vomiting. So let's recall this again, it's very important. What is the cause of vomiting? The skeletal muscles of the abdominal wall and the diaphragm, they contract, which increases the intra-abdominal pressure. With this increase in pressure, the cardiac sphincter, which we also call as gastroesophageal sphincter, or you can also call it as lower esophageal sphincter, it relaxes and the soft palate rises to close the nasal passage, which leads to, you can say, the coming out of the contents from the stomach through the esophagus and from the esophagus to the mouth, right? So this condition results in vomiting. Then the next one is jaundice. Now in case of jaundice, there is yellowing of, you can say, the sclera of the eyes, yellowing of the skin color of the body. Why this yellowing is there? It is because of the pigment, that is bilirubin, right? This bilirubin pigment is there, which causes the yellowing of the skin and the yellowing of the sclera of the eyes. So you can see how you can differentiate between the skin of a normal person from the person who is suffering from jaundice, right. So yellowing is from what? Accumulated bilirubin in the skin, often caused by liver and gallbladder disorders, right. So this bilirubin pigment is responsible for the yellowing of the skin and the sclera of the eyes, and jaundice actually involves the disorder that is because of the malfunctioning of the liver and the gallbladder, right. So you know that liver actually what it secretes bile juice, and the gallbladder actually stores that bile juice for some time. So this this you can say disorder which is there because of the liver malfunctioning and the gallbladder malfunctioning. And we have 4 types of, you can say, jaundice. We have prehepatic jaundice, we have hepatic jaundice, we have extrahepatic jaundice, we have neonatal jaundice, right. Prehepatic jaundice, hepatic jaundice, extrahepatic jaundice and neonatal jaundice. Now this classification is actually based on the severity of the disease, right. So you can say that neonatal, just remember about the neonatal jaundice. This is in case of newborn babies. In case of newborn babies, the liver actually is not, you can say, properly functioning. It is not mature enough. So in newborn babies, this disorder, that is jaundice, is there, which we also call as neonatal jaundice, right. They suffer from neonatal jaundice because of the, you can say, not proper functioning of the liver in newborn babies, right. Then we have next form of disorder that we call as diarrhea. Now diarrhea may be caused by bacteria or parasites found in food and water, and this diarrhea results into dehydration and electrolyte imbalances. What happens when there is the formation of chyme, and this chyme is there in the small intestine, right. What happens? There is no proper absorption and the watery stools are released. This watery stools that are released, they are going to lead to the dehydration in the body, which is also going to lead to this electrolyte imbalances, and this condition is termed as diarrhea. So this is the, you can say, one of the main nutritional and digestive disorders. So remember, we have discussed PEM, that is protein energy malnutrition, and under this we have discussed kwashiorkor, marasmus. Just have a review on the differences between kwashiorkor and marasmus. As you can make out, in kwashiorkor there is edema with maintenance of some subcutaneous fat tissue, and here the skin and the bones appearance with little or no subcutaneous fat tissue. So what is the major difference which you are going to write in case of the symptoms? In this case there is edema and deposition of subcutaneous fat tissue, right. And in this case there is no or little subcutaneous fat tissue. That is why the child looks like this, so much weaker. But in this case you can see the belly, right. This is appearing like this because of the deposition of the subcutaneous fat tissue. So this is how you will make a difference between marasmus and kwashiorkor, that is protein energy malnutrition. Then we have discussed indigestion, right, the symptoms for this. Then we discussed constipation, vomiting, jaundice and diarrhea. So remember that when you are going to discuss about nutritional and digestive disorders, these are the main disorders. PEM is a nutritional disorder which is actually ranked number 1 nutritional disorder in India. Then we have indigestion, constipation, vomiting, jaundice and diarrhea. These are the digestive disorders. So remember these names and the symptoms.